passing through back road country town. She would stand outside a closed down bar in a heavy shower of rain, with a cowboy hat, buckskin coat, and a guitar in her hand. Said, I'm only passing through here, can I take you someplace dry? She said, anywhere that isn't here is the place I want to go. Well, that's how it sometimes happens. Fate shines a light your way. Chance throws up a wild card. You get a random deal to play. Window wipers beat the rhythm to the rumble of the road. Out of time to the country song playing on the radio. The road you drive gonna blow your mind and lead into the night. Through the wild cards and country towns, lost souls, southern rides. Well, I asked her where she come from. She said to be to a lady town. Most times she don't remember the name of anyone. She smelled of cheap perfume and whiskey, second-hand rain. Took the seat back, turned away, breathing easy in her dream. Well, I drove through one more country town. There was an open motel sign, and I left her at the office door with $100 bill. 'Cause I learned a long time ago now, you leave trouble where it's found. We help lost souls to find shelter. You don't take them home. Window wipers beat the rhythm to the rumble of the road. Out of time to the country song playing on the radio. The road you drive's gonna blow your mind and lead into the night. Past the wild cards in country towns and lost souls, summer rides. And nowadays I take the back roads when I'm driving to country town, where there ain't no hotels closing, there's no lost souls, summer rides. She left behind her melancholy, sweet perfume and whiskey smell. As with quiet resignation, she played the only card she held. Now I've seen her sometimes singing in the bars down the city. She gets the whole damn place up dancing, sure as hell she looks pretty. But I know she still remembers a rainy night out on the road. 'Cause I seen her sing that country song, it was playing on the radio. Window wipers beat the rhythm to the rumble of the road. Out of time to the country song playing on the radio. Road you drive's gonna blow your mind and lead into the night. Past wild cards in country town, lost souls, something right. Wild cards, lost souls, something right. Never saw the old bloke, he didn't wear that hat, and what he said to his dog I didn't understand. That old shag dog didn't bother too much anyway. First time we'd heard some of the things he said, and it's funny how they get stuck in your head. And one day someone asked, "Where'd you hear what you just said?" Like at the rugby, the wing made a break and scored in the heat of the moment as the crowd roared. I got a clip on the ear for shouting, "You mongrel bathtub." Well, that's what the old bloke said when his dog made a break round the ewes, turning them off. The situation's the same, though the wing ran a whole lot faster. That old shag dog probably understood more than most of you would think. There were times he'd known to drive a sober man to drink. That's why the bloke had a bottle of whiskey in most of his water troughs. It had nothing to do with incurable thirst. It was all the fault of the dog. You'd see him leap up and down and wave his stick, and if the wind was at your back, it's a pantomime completely without sound. But on those wonderful days with clear blue skies, if there's no breeze, the words arrive tumbling off the hills and shaking crows out of the trees. Always seemed to me that old shag dog had a collection of names a mile long. When the wind's in the south, I must have heard all of them. In the early morning, his name was Billy, but it never was too long before he's a brainless, bone-headed, ball-faced, bigoted, bumptious, belligerent, bollocking Bolshevik. Well, he must have done something wrong. That old shag dog probably understood more than most of you would think. There were times he'd known to drive a sober man to drink. And that's why the bloke had a bottle of whiskey in most of his water troughs. It had nothing to do with incurable thirst. It was all the fault of the dog. Shag dog once saved the old bloke's life from a charging crossbred steer. Shag swung on the tail and turned the beast hanging off an ear. Well, I guess Shag knew with all the hullabaloo that a dog's got to do what he's got to do. Sometimes a dog's only there for a bloke to talk to. None of the dogs I had were as entertaining as anything that old bloke was training. My dogs were mostly there to make a fool of you. Well, I did one time have a dog named Spice, named after the neighbour's wife, and that's a story a wise man probably wouldn't tell. That old shag dog probably understood more than most of you would think. There were times he'd known to drive a sober man to drink. And that's why the bloke had a bottle of whiskey in most of his water troughs. It had nothing to do with incurable thirst. It was all the fault of the dog. Your neighbour's wife. He always had a cigarette with breakfast and a second cup of tea before he's gone. Then he'd head into the morning like it's where he belongs, saying every day was a new adventure to be on. Well, he'd look up to see what the sky was doing, what boots he needs be pulling on today. Was it a hat to keep rain off or something for the sun? Was it the kind of day your head needs to be warm? This job had been his life long before he'd known his wife. It was something they'd both learned to share. Never crossed his mind to leave it all behind. What would the place be doing if he had not been there? Well, it was just another Monday, he was thinking, as he stepped out. Looking back from down the track, he'd realized his mistake, assuming all was as he'd left it yesterday. Well, there's a bull he don't recognize in his heifers, fence lying broken on the ground, and what looked like 1,000 ewes racing miles down the road, and he just knew that they all belonged to him. Stepping on his motorbike, still wearing slippers, grabbed the nearest hat, was hanging by the door. the dog off the chain, racing out into the rain and cursing like his wife had never heard before. This job had been in life long before he'd known his wife. It was something they'd both learned to share. Never crossed his mind to leave it all behind, because what would the place be doing if he had not been there? Now the neighbour's wife was well respected, for a garden had long been her pride and joy. And I guess we all know what 1,000 hungry youths can do given 10 minutes on their own. Well, the neighbour, he was philosophic, dropping by to retrieve his wayward bull. Even helped to fix a fence that his sire had just wrecked, saying every day's a new adventure to be on. This job had been his life long before he'd known his wife. It was something they both learned to share. Well, it never crossed his mind to leave it all behind, because what would he be doing if he had not been there? Now the neighbour's wife, she's still not talking, though her roses look amazing this year. The lavender and lettuces, the radishes and cabbages all seem to benefit from the manure. This job had been her life long before she was a wife. It was something they both learned to share. Well, it sure had crossed her mind to leave it all behind, but then what would she be doing? She had not been there. Well, she always has something strong with breakfast, little shot of whiskey in a tea. Then she steps into the morning like it's where she belongs, and every morning she's remembering me. And this job had been my life long before I'd known my wife. It was something we'd both learned to share. Never crossed my mind to leave it all behind, but the neighbour's wife is why I'm living 200 miles away from there.